Kyle, obviously you faced some studs to start your UFC career, but didn't get the results that you wanted. But I'm just curious, like, how you would evaluate your UFC experience so far?
I think it's been good. I think I've been able to showcase a little bit of my skill. I think as far as skill and technique and stuff, I think I've showed that I'm up to par. I think it's just going to be a little bit of a game plan and mentality stuff, and then everything's going to really shine through.
I know you're definitely not used to losing in your career, so I wonder, what type of kind of emotional, psychological impact has it had on you? Has it been difficult to kind of get through the stretch?
So the first fight in the UFC, I came in on like 3 days' notice, so taking the loss that I did, and it was at a higher weight class. I didn't take it as hard. Obviously, I did well in that fight, especially in the first bit. So I was kind of like, I wish maybe I had jogged a little bit more, or maybe was a little bit more prepared. But then coming into my second UFC fight at 145 was my first loss at 145. So that was a big one. And again, it was a great training camp. Everything went well. And again, the fight went well for the most part. I had my moments where I went really well. Came close to finishing the fight. Just made a couple little mistakes, and in the UFC you can't make those little mistakes, so we've gone back, we've worked on it, and this time there'll be no mistakes.
Nice. Phone rings, email comes, they say we want you to go to Mexico to be the bad guy to fight the Mexican. I'm curious, did you initially kind of balk at it, or did you say, hey, this is a great opportunity? What were your thoughts when they presented the opportunity to you?
I was excited. Every time the UFC gets a hold of me, even if they just need a picture of me or if they just need an interview, I'm like, sign me up. I'm excited to do everything I can to be involved with the UFC. So I was more than excited to come down here, travel to Mexico, and take on a Mexican fighter.
You're so polite as Canadians, though. Are you not going to be much of a villain, are you? Do you have any theatrics in planned, or can you be a bad guy if you're a Canadian?
I'll be the bad guy when I knock out the Mexican guy in Mexico. So
I like it. Talk about Marco Polo Reyes. What do you think about him? Evaluate him. What do you think of him as an opponent?
I think it's going to be an exciting fight. He likes to stand and move forward. I love to stand and move forward, so I think it's going to be a nice clash. I think it could be fight of the night potential.
He's making a division change. I always wonder how you evaluate. It's not like a magic solution to fixing things, right? How do you evaluate somebody, and what to expect from them in their new weight class?
Yeah, I think Polo's coming down to 145, kind of expecting maybe smaller opponents, maybe a little less power. But I think when he gets in there with me and realizes, I hit just as hard as any welterweight, I think he's going to realize he made a mistake.
What do you think the stakes are in this fight? I hate to say things like, is your job on the line or whatever. I think you should get kind of a pass in the first one, but are you thinking about stuff like that? Like, hey man, I have to perform this night, or is that an unhealthy way to look at it?
Yeah, I don't think about it too much like that. Obviously, I realize, coming off of 2 losses, this is a very important fight, but every fight for me is very important, whether it's inside the UFC, outside the UFC. For my legacy, I put everything I have into each fight, so I'm just focused on winning the fight no matter what.
When you play this one out in your mind, he's been in some scraps. Are you expecting that this is going to be kind of a battle, or do you feel like you can get something done early? How does this fight play out?
I think it all just depends on how durable Polo is at 145. I could see him coming forward. I can see us both swinging, and I see him falling. It's just a matter of when.